So, good morning, all the participants. Today, we will be having a talk by Professor Sri Parna Saha. Yes. So, Professor Sri Parna Saha received the MTech and the PhD degree in computer science from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata in 2005 and 2011, respectively. She is currently an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Patna, India. She is the author of a book published by Springer Verlag. She has authored or co-authored more than 300 papers. Her current research interests include deep learning, natural language processing, machine learning, information extraction, text mining, bioinformatics, and multi-objective optimization. Her H-index is 30, and the total citation count of her papers is 5,075 according to the Google Scholar. She is also a senior member of IEEE. She is the recipient of the Rashi Roy Memorial Gold Medal from Indian Statistical Institute for outstanding performance in MTech Computer Science. She is the recipient of the Google India Women in Engineering Award 2008, Nasi Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award 2016, Bird Award 2016, IEI Young Engineers Award 2016, Serb Women Excellence Award 2018, and Serb Early Career Research Award 2018. She is the recipient of Duo India Fellowship 2020, Humboldt Research Fellowship Indo-US, Fellowship for Women in STEMM, Women Overseas Fellowship Program 2018, and CNRS Fellowship. She is the Associate Editor of IEEE ACM Transactions on Computational Biology and Bioinformatics Expert Systems with Applications, Clause 1 IEEE Internet Computing ACM Transactions on Asian and Low Resource Language Information Processing Engineering Applications of Artificial Intelligence. So we welcome you, ma'am, for a talk in our FDB on the bio-inspired algorithm and optimization techniques for emerging research areas in computer applications. And your talk title is that will be delivered by Professor Sri Parna, Multi-Objectives Approaches for Summarization Programs. So thank you, ma'am, for being up here.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me in this occasion. So, sir, I would like to share my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, is it visible? My screen is visible. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, many thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk in this workshop. So, as already mentioned that today I will talk on multi-objective approaches for summarization problems. So I am currently associate professor and also head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Patna. And my email address is this, sriparna@iitp.ac.in. So if you face any difficulty, any questions in your mind which you cannot ask during at the end of the session, maybe you can write to me. And this is my web address, www.iitp.ac.in /Sriparna. So all my publications are listed here. So you may visit my webpage to get details about my research areas. And my H5 index is 30 and total citation count is 5075 according to Google Scholar. So let me start with the introduction of optimization techniques. So I hope, sir, I am all fully audible and my slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give you the introduction of optimization techniques. So optimization means you know that we need to optimize some objective functions. So there is an objective function and we need to optimize that objective function so get the optimal values. So like there are two different types of optimization techniques. single objective optimization and the multi-objective optimization. So in the single objective optimization, there is only one objective function, like the cost of a car, and we are simply optimizing the cost of a car to get the optimal set of cars. So this is an example of single objective optimization. And then there is an example of multi-objective optimization, where there are multiple objective functions like the cost and comfort. So when you are purchasing a car, you are not only focusing on the cost. So our aim is not to minimize the cost, but to maximize the comfort. So cost and comfort are two conflicting objective functions, because it is not possible to simultaneously optimize both the objective functions. So basically, when if you want to maximize comfort, cost will also go high, and if you want to minimize cost, comfort will be compromised. So cost and comfort are two conflicting objective functions which cannot be simultaneously optimized. So these kind of problems are called multi-objective optimization, where you have to simultaneously optimize multiple conflicting objective functions. So cost and comfort are two of them. So now, basically, when you are trying to optimize multiple objective functions, then what will happen is that we will get a set of non-dominated solutions. And this set of non-dominated solutions is basically called the Pareto optimal set. So like here, the cost and the safety, we are trying to optimize both the objective functions. We are trying to minimize cost, we are trying to maximize safety. So as a result, we are basically getting multiple non-dominated solutions on the Pareto optimal front. Okay, so for example, if you compare solution 1 and solution 2, solution 1 is good with respect to safety, but solution 2 is good with respect to cost. So basically, you can't say that solution 1 dominates solution 2 or solution 2 dominates solution 1. So these two solutions are called non-dominated solutions. So the set of all the non-dominated solutions is called the Pareto optimal front. Okay, so this definition only occurs in case of multi-objective optimization, because here we have to simultaneously optimize multiple conflicting objective functions. So basically, by using the multi-objective optimization concept, we are able to get a set of non-dominated solutions, and this non-dominated set of solutions is called Pareto optimal front or Pareto optimal surface. Now we can give this Pareto optimal surface to the user, and user can select a single solution from this particular front. So there is a flexibility. User will have the flexibility in choosing a single solution based on the user defined criteria. So there is a formal definition of multi-objective optimization. So the multi-objective optimization can be formally stated as: we have to find a vector of decision variables which will satisfy some inequality constants and equality constants, and simultaneously optimizes some objective functions. So there are n number of objective functions, f1, f2 up to fm, and we are simultaneously optimizing these objective functions while satisfying some constants. So there are some inequality constants and some equality constants. So there is no concept of global optima. Rather, we are getting a set of trade-off solutions, and this set of trade-off solutions is called the Pareto optimal set. So you can see here from this example, here there are two objectives f1 and f2, and we are maximizing both the objective functions. So basically, if you now compare solution 1 and solution 2, solution 1 is better with respect to f2, but solution 2 is better with respect to f1. So we can't say that solution 1 dominates solution 2 or solution 2 dominates solution 1. So these two solutions are called non-dominated solutions. And the set of all the non-dominated solutions is called Pareto optimal surface. But if you compare solution 5 and solution 2, so solution 5 is solution 2 is better in both the objective functions compared to solution 5. So you can compare f1 and f2 in both the objective functions. Solution 2 is better than solution 5. So solution 2 dominates solution 5. So this is an example of non-domination. But if you compare solution 5 and solution 1, then basically they are not dominating each other. Solution 1 is better with respect to f2, but solution 5 is better with respect to f1. So solutions 1 and 5 are non-dominating to each other. So now let me discuss the another concept, which is called the summarization, because today I would like to show how multi-objective optimization algorithms can be applied for solving the summarization problem. So summarization is another important task in natural language processing, because you know natural language processing is a very important area of research where you have to deal with the natural language text. So you have text written in different languages, and you have to extract relevant information from this text. So that is basically the natural language processing. And summarization is an important task of natural language processing. Here the task is to automatically creating a compressed version of the text document. So what do you mean by text document? It could be set of tweets, web pages, single or multiple document that should be concise, relevant, non-redundant, and representative of the main idea of the text. So basically the task of automatically creating a compressed version of the text document, which could be set of tweets, web pages, single or multiple documents that should be concise, relevant, non-redundant, and representative of the main idea of the text. So text that is produced from one or more text that conveys important information in the original text and that is no longer than half of the original text and usually significantly less than that. Okay, so text that is produced from one or more text that conveys important information in the original text and that is no longer than half of the original text and usually significantly less than that is basically called the summarization. So summarization is important because internet has provided large collections of text on a variety of topics. So large number of electronic documents are available online and nobody is having time to go through all the documents. So users get so exhausted reading large amount. So users face difficulty in finding relevant information. So the possible solution is that we can get a summarized version of the set of documents. Okay, so nobody is having time to go through the entire set of text available online. So one possible solution is to develop some automatic text summarization systems that is needed that can compress information into shorter length that must follow coverage of information, non-redundancy. I hope there is no problem. Yeah. Basically, you know that summarization means that you are compressing the entire set of information. So we have a large collection of text, and the users do not have time to go through them. So rather, we want to get a compressed version of the set of documents. So automatic text summarization system is needed that can compress information into shorter length that must follow coverage of information, non-redundancy, information significance, and cohesion in the text. So basically we want to compress the information into shorter length that must follow the coverage of information, non-redundancy, information significance, and cohesion. So basically there are several goals of the summarization systems. Like by using the summarization systems, we can save some time because now no need to go through the entire set of documents. Rather, we only have to see the compressed version of the documents. Then it will help us in compressing the large information. Then it will help us in highlighting the central theme. So it will help us in decision making. So by basically by the help of the summarization systems, we can easily get the important information and that can basically help us in decision making. For example, during the disaster situations, you know that people stay connected together by using the social media platforms. So physical connectivity is lost, but people are connected to each other through the social media platforms. So in that case, basically, you know that they used to share information, relevant information in the social media platforms. So basically, you know that that is the basically if we can somehow extract the relevant information from the social media and then generate a summary, then that summary information can be used to take some important decisions. So basically, summarization can help us in taking important decisions. So it is easy to implement and also it helps us in active reading. So because now we are keep on, it is we are getting the compressed version of the documents and that way you can read more. We can get enough more information. So summarization is having several goals. So there are two approaches of summarization, extractive and the abstractive. So in case of extractive, you can see that suppose in your original document there are 4 sentences and now we are generating summary which is having only 2 sentences. So we are selecting a few relevant sentences from the original document. Relevance of sentences is decided using sentence scoring features like sentence position, similarity with the title, etc. So basically relevance of the sentences is decided using sentence coding features like sentence position, similarity with the title, etc. So it is from the term name itself you can understand it is an extraction process. So if your original text is having 100 sentences, we are carefully selecting a subset of sentences. So the subset could be 5 or 10, and that basically gives us the summary. So now how to select the important sentences? So the sentences are selected based on several features like the position of the sentences, because the initial sentences are more important. You can see in a news document, the initial sentences convey important information. Or maybe if the sentence is very much similar with the title, then also it is very much important. So based on different sentence coding features like the sentence position, similarity with the title, we are selecting a subset of sentences for the summary. Now there is the abstractive summarization technique. So abstract summary, which includes words and phrases different from the ones occurring in the source document. So basically here in the original text, maybe we have 100 sentences, and now we are somehow combining them together to generate some new sentences. So in the abstractive case, we are generating new sentences keeping the original information in mind. So it requires natural language generation or the reconstruction of sentences. So this is called the abstractive summarization. So in the case of extractive, it is basically a subset selection process. So initially, suppose there are 100 sentences, we are simply selecting a subset of sentences to generate the summary. But in the abstractive case, there are some original set of sentences, and now we are creating some new sentences, keeping the original sentences intact. So these are some examples of the summarization. So like here you can see that we are selecting some important sentences from this document, and then we are generating some extractive summarization. And here you can see that we are basically somehow combining the sentences together, and then we are generating some new sentence. So there are several applications of summarization. So like one application, these are the different applications of summarization. So and any system can be developed either in a supervised or the unsupervised way. So like you can see, we can have the query based summarization, where there is a query, and basically we can get multiple documents based on the query. Suppose you were querying with the term Taj Mahal, and now you can get multiple documents with this query, and now you can generate the summary of those documents. So that is called the query focused summarization, where the query is the key. And with the help of the query, we are basically searching for some documents which contain the information about the query. And then we are doing a summarization of those documents. Then if you are summarizing a single document, this is called the single document summarization. If you are summarizing multiple documents, then this is called the multi-document summarization. Suppose there is a figure, and the description of the figure is given in the text, and if you are generating summary of those text, then this is called the figurative summarization. For summarizing the figures is called the figurative summarization. Then for summarizing the web pages is called the web based summarization. For summarizing the emails is called the email based summarization. Then suppose we have the information specific to a user's need, then that is called the personalized summarization. And then suppose there are several opinions, and you are suppose a particular, for there is a movie or there is a product, and reviewers have given their express their opinions about the movie or the product, and now if you can generate a summary of those opinions, then this is called the sentiment based summarization. Then, as I mentioned, in the disaster situations, so people stay connected with each other through the social media platforms, and they used to use the social media handles for expressing their conditions. So maybe we can extract the relevant information from the social media, and then can generate a summary. The summary can be given to the relief team, rescue team, and the rescue team can easily plan for some rescue operations based on the summary. So summary will contain important information like the location of the disaster, where people are stuck. So all this related information will be stored in the summary, and that summary can be given to the rescue team, and the team can easily plan for the operation. So this is called the microblock summarization. So all the summarization systems can be developed either in a supervised way or in an unsupervised way. So now in the summarization process, there are many objective functions, like that one objective function is the anti-redundancy or the diversity. So we have to keep only those sentences in the summary which are diverse in nature. So basically, that we should not keep the similar sentences in the summary. We should keep the diverse sentences in the summary. Then position of the sentence in the document should be also high. So like the initial sentences are more important than the than the latter sentences. So the position is also important. The length of the sentence should be high enough. So you know that long sentences are more important than the short sentences. Then the set of sentences in the summary should be able to cover the entire document set. So basically the coverage should be high enough. So the entire set of that coverage should be high, like the sentences in the document, the sentence in the summary should be capable of handling, should be able to cover the entire theme of the document. Then cohesion is also high, like the sentences in the summary should be coherent to each other. Readability should also be high, and the sentence similarity with the title should also be high. So these are the different quality measures, and we have to basically simultaneously, we aim to simultaneously optimize these objective functions. So there are different types of summarization. One is called the generic and the query focused. I have already discussed that if suppose there are some news documents and you are simply summarizing those news documents, then this is a generic summary. But if suppose there is a query and you are first extracting the information of that particular query and then generating summary of those documents. So suppose there is a query Taj Mahal. So first you are, by the using of the information retrieval systems, you are first extracting the relevant documents which are related to Taj Mahal, and then you are generating summary of those documents. Then that is called the query focus summarization. Now, summarization can be supervised or unsupervised. You know that supervised and unsupervised are two important paradigms of machine learning. So, if you have training data, if you have a enough training data, like you have the set of documents and the corresponding summary. So, if you have a large such collection, then by using this data, you can easily train a machine learning model, and then the machine learning model can be used to generate some summary from in the unknown case. So, and in the unsupervised case, but we will not, that label data is not required. So, we will basically follow some clustering based approach. So, first of all, sentences will be grouped together. So, based on the semantic similarity. So, basically, we will form some clusters based on the semantic similarity of the sentences. And then from each cluster, we will select some important sentences to generate the summary. Then it could be summarization could be monolingual, multilingual, or cross-lingual. So maybe all the documents, all documents are in a single language. Then this is called the monolingual. If the suppose there are multiple documents and which are written in multiple languages, but in a particular document there is only single language, then that is called the multilingual. And cross-lingual means that suppose in a document only there are multiple languages, that is called the cross-lingual. Then for summarizing the web pages is called the web-based summarization. If you are summarizing the emails, this is called the email-based summarization. Then suppose you have the information specific to a person's user's need and you are basically summarizing those information, then that is called the personalized summarization. Then as I mentioned, suppose there is a product or there was a movie and users have expressed their opinions or the reviews of the particular movie, and now you need to somehow summarize those opinions, then that is called the sentiment based summarization. So we did a thorough literature survey and we found that these are some existing works in the field of summarization where unsupervised approaches are used. So basically we are now focusing on the unsupervised approaches because collection of the label data is very difficult in case of summarization problems. So because you know that label data means you should have the original set of documents and their corresponding summary. So that is very much manual and it requires much time and cost, because we have to manually create summary of a set of documents, and then once we have a large collection of such corpus, then only we can train a machine learning based system. So it is very much time consuming. So basically that's why the supervised approaches, we have not used any supervised approaches for generating the summarization systems, but we focused on the unsupervised approaches. So unsupervised approaches are basically the clustering based approaches. So they focus on fast developing clusters of the groups based on the similarity between the sentences. So basically, some sentences similar to each other, they will form a group. So several extractive single document summarization algorithms have been developed utilizing the search capabilities of some meta-heuristic based optimization techniques, namely genetic algorithm, differential evolution, etc., and shown good results in summarization tasks. So now, but these algorithms have some drawbacks. And we have basically identified those drawbacks. One drawback is that though they are unable to automatically detect the number of clusters. Then none of the existing extractive single document summarization techniques captures the semantic similarity present in the sentences. Then low convergence rate and the rule score, and formulated the summarization problem in the framework of single objective optimization. So these are the different drawbacks of the proposed approaches. So we are unable to automatically detect the number of clusters. So none of the existing ESDS techniques captures the semantic similarity present in the sentences. So the techniques will suffer from low convergence rate and the rule score. And we have formulated the summarization problem as a single objective optimization problem. So there are several solutions for the drawback. We need to develop an automatic text summarization system using multi-objective optimization. We have to able to detect the number of clusters automatically. We have to make use of several sentence calling features to select the important sentences, and basically we will be able to achieve better rule score in comparison to state of the art. So basically, as I mentioned, there are several drawbacks of the existing techniques. So you have to somehow develop a new technique which can overcome all these drawbacks. So we need to develop an automatic text summarization system using multi-objective optimization. And this system should be capable of detecting the number of clusters automatically. It should make use of several sentence calling features to select the important sentences. And it should be able to achieve better rule score in comparison to the state-of-the-art techniques. So now basically we will be discussing about this basically our proposed summarization technique is a two-stage approach. In the first stage, we have to apply the clustering of the sentences. So sentences will be clustered into different sentence clusters, and then from each cluster we have to select some important sentences to generate the summary. So it is a two-stage approach. In the first stage, sentences will be clustered into different groups, and then from each group important sentences will be selected for generating the summary. So nowadays sentence-based extractive summarization techniques are popularly used in producing summary. So first we have to perform the sentence clustering, and then after forming the sentence clusters, from each sentence cluster we have to carefully select some important sentences, and then that way we will produce the summary. So first we have to apply the sentence clustering, then we have to rank the clusters, and then from each cluster we have to select important sentences to generate this summary. So these are the three stages. So now first is the sentence clustering. For sentence clustering, we have used a multi-objective optimization based approach. So here the clustering problem is formulated as a multi-objective optimization problem, and multiple objective functions are simultaneously optimized to obtain a good partitioning of the set of sentences. And then once we get the partitioning, will have multiple clusters, and now we can rank the clusters, and from different clusters we will get important sentences to generate the summary. So multiple cluster quality measures capturing different data properties are required to be optimized simultaneously. So problem of sentence clustering is framed as a multi-object optimization based clustering problem where sentence clusters are identified in an automatic way. So there is a concept called the word mover distance. So word mover distance is a distance that embedded words of one text needs to travel to reach the embedded words of another text. Like Obama speaks to the media in Illinois. And suppose there is another sentence, the president greets the press in Chicago. Now Obama maps to president, speaks maps to greets, media maps to press, Illinois maps to Chicago. So now the distance between these two sentences is basically called the word mover distance. So here we make use of the word embedding. If two sentences are similar, then the word embedding distance would be 0. So like here you can see Warmer maps to president, Speaks map to greets, Illinois maps to Chicago, Media maps to press. So the amount of distance that the embedded words of one text needs to travel to reach the embedded words of another text is basically called the word mover distance. So there are, you know that there are many algorithms which are developed for solving the multi-objective optimization problem. So one important paradigm is called the evolutionary algorithms. So evolutionary algorithms are some nature-inspired algorithms. They basically mimic the natural evolution process. And basically there are different types of evolutionary algorithms available, like the genetic algorithm or the differential evolution. So these are some evolutionary algorithms. And then there are some swarm optimization based approaches as well. So like particle swarm optimization, gray wolf optimization, water cycle algorithm. So mostly these algorithms basically follow the swarm behavior. So evolutionary algorithms basically are inspired by the biological phenomena. So here a solution is called the individual. The representation of a solution is called the chromosome. The components of the solution are called the genes. The set of solutions is called the population. Survival of the fittest is basically inspired by the Darwin's theory. And there are different search operators like crossover and mutation. And there is the iterative procedure which is called the generation. So this is the evolutionary algorithm. So a solution is called the individual. Representation of a solution is called the chromosome. Components of the solution are called the genes. A set of solutions is called the population. Survival of the fittest is called the Darwin's theory. There are several search operators like crossover and mutation, and the iterative procedure is called the generation. So basically, a solution is having multiple individuals, and each individual, you know that there are multiple. These individuals are basically we are applying some genetic operators like crossover and mutation on these individuals to get some offsprings, and these offsprings are basically added to the next generation, and then those further participate in generating new solutions. So this is the evolutionary algorithms. So basically, what is the flow of the evolutionary algorithm? We have to find paratoptimal front in a single run, and we will be finding the yet a set of solutions as diverse as possible. So basically, you can see this is the evolutionary algorithms, and we will be applying the evolutionary algorithms to get a set of solutions on the final paratoptimal front. So there is an initial population, then we are computing the fitness values. So then there is a Gmax. We have to see whether the Gmax has reached or not. If Gmax has not reached, then new solutions will be generated. Then there will be new fitness evaluation of the new solutions, and then basically we will update the population. So the new solutions and the old solutions will be merged together, and then carefully we have to select some important solutions for the next population. So basically that is called the selection operation. So by mutation and crossover, we'll be generating some new solutions, and then finally the fitness values of those new solutions will be evaluated, and then these new solutions and the old solutions will be merged together, and we have to apply the selection operator to select a subset of the a subset of the solutions for the next population. So finally, when the Gmax will be reached, so then we will get a set of paratoptimal solutions. So if we will be able to reach the Gmax, then we will get a set of paratoptimal solutions. So differential evolution is a type of evolutionary algorithm. So basically, differential evolution is an optimization algorithm, as it is an instance of an evolutionary algorithm. So here also we are choosing some target vectors. We are randomly choosing two population members. Then we are building some weighted difference vector. We are adding a third randomly chosen vector with them. We are performing the crossover with the target vector to get the trial vector, and the smaller cost value survives into the next generation. So the evolution algorithm is also a kind of evolution. Differential evolution is also a kind of evolution algorithm, and where the steps are applied, we are choosing the target vector. We are randomly choosing between two population members. Then we are building a weighted difference vector. We are adding a third randomly chosen vector with them. we are performing crossover with the target vector to get the trial vector, and then the smaller cost value survives into the next generation. So it involves maintaining a population of candidate solutions. Crossover mutation and selection take over number of iterations. So basically figure shows the flow of the single objective differential evaluation. In case of multi-objective optimization, 2 or more objectives will be considered. So now this is the problem definition. So as I mentioned, this is a two-stage approach. In the first stage, our task is to generate the sentence clusters. So there are multiple sentences and you have to generate some clusters based using these sentences. So, and in the process, we have to basically simultaneously optimize multiple cluster validity indices. So basically these validity indices check the quality of the clusters. So multiple validity indices will be optimized to obtain a optimal partitioning. So we have formulated the extractive single document summarization problem as a sentence clustering problem using multi-objective optimization. And in the process, we have simultaneously optimized multiple objective functions. So here you can see S1, S2 up to Sk. We have to basically generate the clustering out of this, and basically we have to optimize multiple objective functions in the process. So three methods are proposed based on different multi-objective optimization techniques for summarization tasks. One is the self-organized multi-objective differential evolution based sentence clustering technique. Second is the multi-objective water cycle algorithm. And third is the multi-objective Gray-Wolf optimization based sentence clustering technique. So all these proposed methods are basically, you know, that these are the proposed methods. So differential evolution, water cycle algorithm, and the Gray-Wolf optimization are the optimization algorithms. So the developed algorithms, for a summarization task correspond to these techniques. So what are the key features of our proposed algorithm? So here, in order to represent the sentences, we have used a semantic based representation. So the sentences are converted into a vector representation capturing the semantic information. Okay, that is the first key contribution of our proposed approach, because if you see the existing literature, in most of the cases the syntactic representation is used. So syntactic representation means the TF-IDF based representation. So basically, but here we are using the semantic representation. So each sentence will be represented in a vector form. So it will be a semantic representation of the sentence. Then to properly calculate the similarity or dissimilarity between two sentences, word mover distance I have already introduced. So this word mover distance is capable of capturing the semantic similarity between two sentences. So which can be captured by using the word-to-vec model. So this word-to-vec model is a semantic representation generation module. So it takes a vector as an input and it generates a semantic representation as an output. Then we apply multi-objective clustering technique to cluster the set of sentences present in a document. So two well-known cluster validity indices will be deployed as the optimization criteria, and this algorithm will be capable of automatic determination of the number of sentence clusters from a given document. It makes use of several sentence coding features to select some informative sentences from each cluster. So this is the proposed the flowchart of our proposed approach. So we have used the differential evolution as the underlying optimization technique. Self-organizing map is used as a reproduction operator, which is used to generate good quality solutions. So there is a document, single document, and then we are applying pre-processing. Then there is a population initialization. So the population is basically consisting of multiple solutions. So each solution is a way of clustering the set of sentences. So a solution basically represents a set of cluster centers which denote a way of clustering the set of sentences. Then we check whether G is less than Gmax or not. So if G is less than Gmax, then we are doing the SORM training. Self-organizing map is an unsupervised neural network based approach. So self-organizing map is used to get the matching pool. So this matching pool will be utilized for applying the crossover and the mutation operations. So self-organizing map basically identifies the neighborhood of a particular solution, and the neighborhood of a particular solution basically constitutes the matching pool. And once we have the matching pool, then maybe we can get we can select multiple solutions from the matching pool to apply some genetic operators. So basically then we are applying the crossover and the mutation operations to form the new population P dash. We are merging P and P dash together, and finally we are selecting the base set of P solutions, and then we are updating the self-organizing map training data. So basically self-organizing map training data we are updating, and then we are again training the self-organizing map. So basically this is the thing that we are obtaining set of parallel solutions, and each solution represents a way of generating the summary. So basically you know that we have to basically somehow generate the summary for each of the solutions, and now users can select a single summary as the output. So basically you know that multi-object optimization provides us a set of non-dominated solutions on the parallel surface. So for each solution, there is a summarization available. There is a summary available. So we can generate summary for each of the solutions, and then we can select the base summary, and that can be reported. So basically, this is our proposed approach, the flowchart of our proposed approach, and Gmax is the user-defined maximum number of generations. Now the population initialization and objective function calculation. So suppose our chromosomes are nothing, a population comprises of a set of solutions of the chromosomes. Each solution encodes cluster centers, representative sentences of the documents. Each solution has varied number of clusters between 1 to n and associated with two objective functions, PBM and Xibeni, where n is the total number of sentences in the document. Okay, so this is our chromosome. So the chromosome is basically, you can see the chromosome is having the set of cluster centers. So each center is having some, you know, these are the clusters. So each cluster is represented by the center. Okay, so these are the cluster centers, where each center is three-dimensional vector space. So basically, you can see that these are our clusters, and each cluster is represented by the set of centers. So each center is in three-dimensional vector space. So genetic operators. So basically, matching pool construction. So these are the genetic operators. So we have to first generate the matching pool, then you have to apply crossover and the mutation operations. So for the matching pool is constructed after considering the neighborhood solutions of the current solution retrieved using self-organizing map. So you can see, suppose H is the current solution, then you are generating the neighborhood of the solutions. So this neighborhood basically constitutes the matching pool. So if the H is the current solution, then we have to find out the neighborhood of the neighborhood of the solution, and this neighborhood constitutes the matching pool. And now this matching pool will take part in crossover and the mutation operation. So only neighboring solutions can mate to generate new solutions. So the only neighboring solutions can take part in the crossover and mutation operation, and that way they will basically new solutions will be generated. So a random two solutions are selected from the matching pool. Like if the rand is less than the crossover probability, then we are generating a new solution like this. Otherwise, yi equal to xi current. Here rand is a random probability lying between 0 to 1. CR is the crossover probability. And if this solution is outside the range, then we are basically repairing the solution. If the generated solution is less than the lower limit or upper than the upper limit, then we are repairing the solution. Now mutation operator, after repairing the solutions generated by the crossover operation, we have applied the concept of polynomial mutation, which generates highly diverse solution. So now basically after generating the solutions using the crossover operation, we are now applying the mutation operations. So mutation operations are of three types. One is basically simply changing the cluster centers. So by using the polynomial mutation, we are basically simply changing the existing cluster centers by some small value. Then there are two different other types of mutation operations as well, because another task of the proposed approach is to automatically determine the number of clusters. So for that, you know that we have to somehow vary the number of clusters in solutions. So one mutation is the insert mutation, by which we can basically increase the number of clusters included in a solution. For example, here there are 3 clusters, but now we have inserted one new cluster here. So we are increasing the number of clusters present in the solution by 1. Then we are also deleting the number of clusters present in the solution by 1. Suppose there are 3 clusters, and now we are deleting one cluster from here. So then there is this environmental selection operations. So we are generating some new solutions and we have the whole set of solutions. So suppose by applying the crossover and mutation, we are generating a new population P dash and we have the whole population P. So P and P dash can be merged together and that way we will be getting the 2n number of solutions. And now we are applying some selection operation on this 2n number of solutions to get n number of solutions. So this selection operation is having two components, non-dominator sorting and the crowding distance. So the non-dominator sorting means we have to basically sort the solutions into multiple ranked, you have to rank the solutions. So like here you can see that A and B solutions are the base solutions. They are the rank 1 solutions because these two solutions are non-dominated to each other and they do not dominate any other solution. So A and B are the non-dominated solutions and they are the rank 1 solutions. Now C and D, these two solutions are also non-dominated to each other, but they are dominated by A and B. So C and D basically constitute the parallel surface 2 or the rank 2 set of solutions. E and F are the parallel surface 3, they are the rank 3 solutions. They are non-dominated to each other and they are but they are dominated by CD and AB. So they are rank 3 solutions. So basically non-dominated sorting and crowding distance operator of NSDA2 algorithm are applied to select the top n solutions. So now for the summary generation, so at the end of the optimization algorithm, a set of solutions are obtained, and now for each solution we have to basically compute this. We have to generate the summary. So basically this way we are generating the clustering. So you know that this is the way we are generating the clustering of the sentences. Now we have to generate the summary, and then finally we have to select an important summary from the paradigm set. So root score of all solutions are calculated with respect to the goal summary, and the solution which is having the highest root score can be selected as the best solution. So now to generate the summary, following steps are applied. So first the document center is identified. So you can see that document center is that particular sentence whose average distance to all the other sentences is the minimum. So document center is that particular sentence whose average distance to all the other sentences is the minimum. So distance WMD means the word number distance between two sentences. So we are comparing the sentence to sentence distance, and then we are taking the average of all the pairwise distances. The sentence which is having this minimum distance is basically considered as the document center. Where n is the number of sentences in the document, O is the total number of sentence pairs, and is given as n into n minus 1 by 2. SI is the ith sentence, M is the document center. So basically you can see that this is the thing that we are computing the sentence to sentence distance, and then we are selecting that particular sentence which is having the minimum pairwise minimum average distance, and that is the document center. Now there is this summary generation. So basically clusters present in the ith solution are ranked. So basically we have to compute the, so we have computed the document center. Now from the document center we have to get the distance of all the clusters. So document center is identified. Now we have to find out the distance of the document center from all the cluster centers, and then the clusters are ranked based on this distance. The word number distance of each cluster center present in the ith solution to document center is calculated as follows. Where CK is the kth cluster center. Finally, clusters are ranked in descending order based on the ZK scores. So basically, CK is the cluster center, and SM is basically the document center. So we are computing this distance from the cluster center to the document center, and then we are sorting the clusters. Clusters are ranked in descending order based on the ZK scores. And the cluster which is at the minimum distance, from the document center is selected first. So now once the clusters are ranked, now the sentences in a cluster are also given some scores. So basically a cluster is nothing but a set of sentences. So each sentence in a cluster is assigned a score. So there are several factors which is determining the score. So one is the length of the sentence. So our idea is to increase the length of the sentence, because the longer sentences are more important than the shorter sentences. So the length of the sentence should be high. Position of the sentence in the document should be also high. So initial sentences are more important than the future than the later sentences. So the position of the sentence in the document should be high. Similarity with the title should be also maximized. Anti-redundancy should be minimized. And so basically finally each sentence will be assigned a score. So the score is determined like this: alpha into f1 plus beta into f2 plus gamma into f3 plus delta into f4. So f1, f2, f3, f4 are some objective functions. So f1 is the length of the sentence which has to be maximized. Position of the sentence in the document has to be maximized. Similarity with the title has to be maximized. Anti-redundancy has to be minimized. So basically each sentence is assigned a score, so which is the weighted average of these four factors: alpha into f1 plus beta into f2 plus gamma into f3 plus delta into f4. So each sentence is assigned a weighted average of this sentence score. We have to arrange sentences in descending order present in a cluster according to the sentence scores. Now to generate summary, clusters are considered rank wise. Given a cluster, top rank sentences are extracted sequentially until summary length reaches to some threshold. So now to generate summary, clusters are considered rank-wise. Given a cluster, top rank sentences are extracted sequentially until summary length reaches to some threshold. So here, so you got it. Hope you got the approach. So basically, it is a two-stage approach, as I mentioned. In the first stage, we are generating the clustering of the sentences, and then we are ranking the clusters present in a partitioning, and then we are basically generating. We are giving some scores to all the sentences present in a cluster, and then sentences are basically we are visiting each cluster at a time, and we are picking the sentence with the highest score, and that way we will visit all the clusters. First we will visit all the cluster, we will select the top ranked sentence from each cluster, and then if there is a space again, then again we will visit all the clusters again. So basically you know that to generate the summary, clusters are considered rank wise, and given a cluster, the top ranked sentences are selected to generate the summary until the summary length constant is satisfied. So you know there is a in the goal in the basically there is a length constant in the summary. So maybe it will be only up to 50 words. So we have to keep on visiting the clusters in a rank wise manner, and we have to keep on selecting the top ranked sentence until and unless we reach this particular constant. So now we have used two data sets for our purpose. One is the DUC 2001 and DUC 2002. So number of topics in DUC 2001 is 30, number of topics in DUC 2002 is 59, and number of documents are 309 and 567, and length of the summary in words is 100. So basically, you know that when two gold standard data from the document understanding conferences from the years 2001 and 2002 are used. So they contain 30 and 59 topics, each with 309 and 567 news reports. We compared the RU score. So RU score is a kind of a similarity matching. It basically checks the similarity of the obtained summary with the actual summary. So where n represents the length of the n-gram, count match n-gram is the maximum number of overlapping n-grams between the reference summary and the system summary. Count n-gram is the total number of n-grams in the reference summary. In our experiment, n takes the values of 1 and 2 for RUS 1 and RUS 2 respectively. So this is the you know that these are the RU score values. So we have compared these. There are, as I mentioned, there are three different types of approaches: differential evolution, Greuel optimization, and the water cycle algorithm. So basically, differential evolution, we are achieving the highest RU2 score values by using the differential evolution, and these are the we are also comparing with the existing techniques. So you can see that differential evolution attains the highest value is RUS2 for DUC 2001 and DUC 2002. So this is an example of a good summary. So you can see that actual summary, there is a matching. So mostly in most of the cases, the actual summary and predicted summary, they are matching to each other. And then population size, we have also varied the population size and the fitness values. And these are the paratoptimal fronts that we have achieved. So you can see that there are multiple solutions on the paratoptimal front, that this indicates that there is indeed a number of possible solutions of the summarization problem. So there are multiple ways of generating summary for a particular problem. So do you have any question from out of this portion? Because next I will move to a new topic. So if you have any question, you may ask me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Please tell.
Yes. I'm Dr. Suresh Punia.
Yeah.
Madam, you have well explained the way to find out the similarities between the sentences. You told there are two ways. One is the one parameter is the length of the sentence, and second parameter is the if the sentence come in the beginning of that paragraph, that will be more relevant than the later sentences. Ji ma'am. So ma'am, I would like to ask you that is there any other way to find out the semantic similarity between the sentences by using the parsing method, as we are doing in the compiler? There's the LR parsing. When we are parsing the sentences, we can find out how it is whether it is syntactically correct or not, whether it is semantically correct or not. And there are also a way of the semantic web. You can design the ontologies, and ontologies is the backbone of a semantic web. And there are other methods based on the AI techniques. So which can be the most effective to find out the semantic similarity between the sentences? Ultimately, we are going to find out the theme of the web page. As a human being, we can understand what is the meaning of this, what is the theme of this web page by reading these pages. How machine can understand the theme of that web page? So which technique can be most effective? Ji ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, I got. Thank you for the question. So I got your point. You are very correct. There are different ways of measuring the similarity between the sentences. So what you talked, that were not the similarity measurements, but when we rank the sentences. So suppose basically our summarization problem is basically a two-stage process. In the first stage, we are generating the sentence clusters. So the sentences are basically clustered into multiple groups, and then from each group basically we are selecting some important sentences to generate the summary. So in that case, we have used this length and the position information to rank the sentences. So a cluster will have multiple sentences, so all the sentences may not be equally likely. So we would like to rank the sentences in a particular cluster by using some different objective functions. So length of the sentence, position of the sentence in the document, similarity with the title, diversity, these are the different measures to assign some rank to the sentences. And now coming to the semantic similarity. So as you mentioned, yes, there are different ways of measuring similarity between two sentences. So you are very correct that we can develop a taxonomy, and based on the taxonomy, we can easily find out the similarity between different entities of the sentences. So basically here in our case, we have used the semantic similarity measure. So basically we have used the word mover distance. So word mover distance, what it does, it first finds out like here you can see this example, that it first finds out the correspondence between the words. So two sentences having multiple words, it will first find out the correspondence between the words, and then it will try to find out the similarity between these two sentences as per the correspondence. Like here, if the first sentence is Obama speaks to the media in Illinois, and the second sentence is the president greets the press in Chicago. So first it will try to get the vector representations of these words. So the semantic representations will be obtained. So we will get the semantic representation of the OAMA, semantic representation of the president, and then we will find out the cosine similarity of the semantic representations. So in recent years, in deep learning based approaches are becoming popular in developing the semantic representations of the words. So there is this Word2Vec based model, or the globe, or the BART. So these are all semantic, these will basically give you the semantic representations of the words. So they will take the word as an input and they will provide you a vector representation which can be considered as a semantic representation of the particular word. So this is the point that first we will try to find out the vector representation of the words, and then we will try to find out the mapping. Like OAMA is mapped to president, speaks is mapped to greet, Illinois is mapped to Chicago, media is mapped to press, and then we can easily find out the corresponding distance. So what is the distance from OAMA to president in the semantic space? What is the distance between speaks to greet in the semantic space? Illinois to Chicago, or the press to media, and then take the summation of all these four distances, and that will be the word over distance between these two sentences. Sir, am I making sense? Yeah.
You are right, ma'am. But madam, actually, what I would like to ask you, there are number of technique you will explain. My question is that if we use the semantic web technologies, like actually we need to represent the web pages, we need to represent these sentences in some knowledge representation form. And ontology is a very good knowledge representation scheme. So via ontology, can we better get the results?
Sure. I think you can surely try that. We have not tried that, but I think that is also a very important direction of research in future. You can easily do that, because based on the ontologies also, like in biology, these are very popular. You can see that there is a gene ontology. So gene ontology is there. So gene ontologies contain the genes and the relationships between them. So based on the gene ontology, we used to find out the similarity between two genes. So similarly, you have the WordNet, or you have the semantic web. All these ontologies are available. So maybe based on these ontologies also, you can try to define the similarities between different terms. That is very much possible. I
Thank
think
you,
you can.
thank
Yeah,
you,
we have not done that, but I think you can surely explore that this area.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me just continue. Maybe we can just take just because we have 1 more hour. So my talk is up to 11:30. So I just would like to take just 2-3 minutes break, and then I would like to continue this summarization technique. So I have discussed about one technique, but I would like to discuss about some more approaches which are popularly used for summarization. So, but before that, I just would like to take, maybe we will meet at 10:40. Okay, now it is 10:36. We'll meet at 10:40.
Okay.
Hello, is my screen visible? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, I am audible also, no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have discussed about one approach of summarization, which is of clustering based nature. So that was a two-stage approach. In the first stage, we have applied clustering of the sentences, and in the second stage, we ranked the clusters based on the importance. And then from each cluster, we have selected the important sentences to generate the summary. So basically, this is the single document extractive summary. Now we are basically developing another summarization technique, which is single document extractive summarization technique. So in this work, we have developed an automatic single document extractive summarization technique using the multi-objective binary differential evolution. So this is the problem statement. So we have a set text document, and we are basically, there are several sentence coding functions like sentence similarity with the title, sentence position, coverage, cohesion, sentence length, readability, and we are basically simultaneously optimizing these objective functions. And finally, we are getting a set of solutions in the final summary, set of sentences in the final summary. So basically, it is the thing that there is a text document, and we are basically, there are several sentence coding functions like sentence similarity with the title, sentence position, coverage, cohesion, sentence length, readability. So all these aspects are considered while we have ranked the sentences in a cluster. So but now we are simultaneously optimizing these objective functions, and then we are selecting a optimal subset of sentences for generating the summary. So what is the drawback? So existing approaches are mostly meta heuristic based. So they are in the existing systems, most of the techniques are formulating the summarization problem as a single objective optimization problem, and they are simply optimizing a single objective function. But there are multiple conflicting objective functions in case of summarization. So these are conflicting as well, because if you want to basically increase the cohesion, then the basically the coverage, maybe the anti redundancy will be compromised. So that way there are many conflicting objective functions, and if you need to simultaneously optimize these conflicting objective functions, then you need to formulate this problem as a multi-objective optimization problem. So none of the meta heuristic algorithm explores the power of self-organizing map as a mapping construction tool. And then basically, neural network based approaches are mostly utilization of document summary pair for training. So what we are doing, so we are using the multi-objective optimization concept to simultaneously optimize multiple objective functions, and to measure the semantic similarity between two sentences, we have used the word mover distance I have already discussed. And now it is an unsupervised approach, so we do not need any label data. So we do not need a corpus and the corresponding summary. Rather, we need only the documents which we need to, for which we need to produce a summary. So these are the different objective functions. Sentence position has to be maximized. So it assigns higher scores to initial sentences of the document. As the sentence position in the document increases, the value of P decreases. Similarity with the title has to be increased. It measures the similarity with the title. Then you can see that coverage, it measures the extent to which sentences in the summary provide useful information about the document. Length of the sentence, it favors the longest sentence but does not entirely rule out the medium length sentence. Cohesion, it measures the relatedness of the sentences that make up the summary, or it recognizes whether the summary sentences are discussing about the same information or not. The readability is that it measures the readability of the summary. So all these objective functions are simultaneously optimized using the multi-objective optimization concept. So this is the overall flowchart of the proposed approach. So we are starting with a single document. So we are applying some pre-processing, because stop words will be removed. We have to tokenize each sentence should be put into single line. So we have to tokenize. So then we initialize the population. So population is nothing but now it is a binary representation. So the length of the solution is equal to the number of sentences in the document. So if the document is having 100 sentences, then the length of the solution is 100. So a value represents 0 or 1. So 1 means that the sentence is selected, 0 means the sentence is not selected. So a solution is is basically binary in nature. So a sentence is having value either 0 or 1. So 1 means that the sentence will be selected, 0 means sentence will not be selected. So we are randomly initializing the population. So population is having multiple chromosomes, and chromosomes are randomly initialized, and then we are computing the objective function values of the chromosomes. So then we are checking the generation, whether the generation has reached Gmax or not. And then basically we can see that there is a SOM training. So self-organizing map is trained to generate the matching pool. So the neighborhood of a particular solution is determined using the self-organizing map, and that matching pool constitutes the neighborhood of a particular solution. And basically we select the importance for the genetic operator. This matching pool is basically utilized. Crossover and mutation operations are applied using this matching pool. So we apply genetic operators to form the new population P dash and calculate values of the objective functions. We merge P and P dash together. We are selecting best P solutions. We update the same self-organizing map training data. And this is a kind of a loop. So you can see we are training the self-organizing map to generate the matching pool. Then we are applying the genetic operators to form a new population P dash. And now P dash is added with the old population. And then we are applying the selection operation on P to generate to basically generate the new solutions, and that we are updating the SOM training data. Now if the generation has reached, then basically that means we already got a paratoptimal surface. Paratoptimal surface is having all the non-deviated set of solutions, and now we can select a single base solution and we can generate the summary. So this is the flowchart of the proposed approach. So you can see that first we are starting with a single document, we are pre-processing it. Then the solutions are nothing but the binary chromosomes. So the length of the solution is equal to number of sentences in a document, and the values represent 0 or 1. So 0 means the sentence will be selected, 1 means the sentence will not be, 1 means sentence will be selected for the summary, 0 means the sentence will not be selected for the summary. And then basically in order to evaluate the quality of the solution, we are comparing different objective functions. So objective functions I have already discussed before this. And then there is a self-organizing map which is used to compute the neighborhood of a particular solution, and this neighborhood basically constitutes the matching pool. So there are two versions of the proposed approach. In the first version, we are again putting some weightage to each of the objectives. Okay, so there is OB1, OB2, OB3, OB4, OB5, OB6. So we are basically putting some weightage to each of the objectives. So all the objective functions values are multiplied with their respective weights and then simultaneously optimized. And then basically we can approach 2. So in the approach 2, all the objective function values are simultaneously optimized in approach 2. So in approach 2, all the objective function values should be optimized. So basically you can see that approach 1, we are putting some weightage to each of the objective functions, and all the objective function values are multiplied with their respective weights and then simultaneously optimized. In approach 2, all the objective function values are simultaneously optimized. So now there is these two operators with SOM and without SOM. So basically, you know that either we can with SOM and the without SOM. So basically, these are the operators, and the distances are cosine distance, normalized Google distance, Bud-Mover distance, etc. So these are the paratoptimal fronts that we have received. So basically, there are different objective functions: coverage, readability, sentence positions, and we are simultaneously optimizing them, and then we are getting the paratoptimal surface. So you can see that goal summary can be used to compute the Roux scores, and these are the different approaches. We are using different similarity measures, sometimes cosine similarity, sometimes word-over distance. Normalized Google distance can also be used to check the semantic similarity between sentences, and these are the results. We have compared with the existing techniques, and our proposed approach basically attained better results compared to the existing techniques. So yeah, so basically this paper is published in PLOS One journal. So now I would like to discuss about two other paradigms of summarization. One is called the figurative summarization, another is called the microblock summarization. So figurative summarization means we have to summarize the figures. So basically, you know that in any biomedical articles, there are many figures. And if you see the captions, then it is very difficult to understand the figure because caption is very short and caption is not enough to understand clearly the meaning of the figure. So what we can do is that we can develop some method. So we can to develop an unsupervised system for automatic summarization of figures in the biomedical articles. So we have several figures and we have the set of documents, and then we can generate the summary of the figures based on those based on the information content. So basically, you know, there are different figures and there is a description of those figures in the text, and we can generate a summary of the figure based on the information content. So basically, you can see that we are generating the summary of the figures. So develop an unsupervised system for automatic summarization of figures in the biomedical articles. So figures are always difficult to interpret by humans as well as machines. An example is shown in this particular figure. So according to Fruitel, 50% of the text in the biomedical articles are related to figures only. Therefore, associated text in the article can be used to describe them. So like here you can see that associated text in the article can be used to describe the images. So here again we have used this problem is treated as a binary optimization problem. So the length of the solution is equal to the number of sentences in the document. So if the document, the number of sentences is 10, then the length of the solution is equal to 10, and the values represent 1 or zeros. So 1 means the sentence is selected, 0 means the sentence is not selected. So this is a representation of a solution. So 1 means the sentence is selected, 0 means the sentence is not selected. So we have used the binary differential evolution as the underlying optimization techniques, and many sentences are there in the biomedical article. So all the sentences may not be relevant for generating the summary. So by carefully, we have to basically select the important sentences to generate the summary. Difficult to find the relevant sentences summarizing a figure. Multiple objectives are simultaneously optimized using the binary differential evolution framework. For language representation, BioBart model is utilized. Note that BioBart model already shown its performance over the bio-NLP tasks like classification, biomedical name recognition, etc. So basically, you know, this is the thing that multiple objectives are simultaneously optimized using the binary differential evolution framework. For language representation, BioBart model is used. And basically, you can see that BioBart model already shown it outperformance over the bio-NLP tasks like classification, biomedical name recognition, etc. So what are the key points of a proposed approach? It provides a set of summaries. End user can select any summary according to her choice. In the binary differential evolution framework, 2 variants are incorporated for new solution generation, rand1 bin and current to based 1 bin. So first one helps in maintaining diversity among solutions. Second one helps in faster convergence. So basically, these are the 2 different types of differential evolution technique, and we are applying the search capability of differential evolution to find out the best set of solutions. And these are our objective functions. So we are measuring the cosine similarity between sentences in the summary. So basically, you know that if the sentences are similar to each other, then they should not be in the summary. So summary should always contain the diverse set of sentences. So basically, this is the anti-redundancy measurement. We are finding out the cosine similarity between the sentences in the summary, and that we are minimizing. Then we are also measuring the anti-redundancy between sentences of the summary in terms of textual entailment relationships, and that is also minimized. So sentence to sentence similarity is calculated using the textual entailment, and then we are basically trying to minimize that. We are also calculating the number of entailed sentences of the summary through the figures caption, so that is maximized. Average cosine similarity between sentences in the ith solution and the figures caption, so that is also maximized. Counting the number of sentences present in the ith solution referring to the mth figure by using the keyword figure m, so that we are maximizing. Counts the total number of 1 gram overlapping words between sentences present in the ith solution and mth figures caption, that is also maximized. Counts the total number of 2 gram overlapping words between sentences present in the ith solution and the mth figures caption, that is also maximized. So these are the objective functions that we are simultaneously optimized using the search capability of differential evolution. Now there is a concept called the textual entailment. So it states that a sentence P called a hypothesis is said to be entailed by sentence Q called as premise if P can be inferred from Q. Okay, so P is called the hypothesis is said to be entailed by sentence Q called as premise if P can be inferred from Q, and it is denoted by Q implies P. So like if you help the needy, God will reward you. Then hypothesis is giving money to a poor man has good consequences. It is basically positive textual entailment. Text entails hypothesis. Text, if you help the needy, God will reward you. Hypothesis, giving money to a poor man has no consequences. This is the negative. Text contradicts hypothesis. Non-T, text, if you help the needy, God will reward you. Hypothesis, giving money to a poor man will make you a better person. So text does not entail or not contradict. So in textual entailment based anti-redundancy measurement, Q implies P or P implies Q should not hold to maintain diversity in the summary. So these are the models for use for the textual entailment. So you know that there is a model to identify the entailed sentences in the article to figures caption. We have used the pretend model available in this. So in this model, globe word-to-vec embedding is used. I have already mentioned that globe is a word-to-vec based embedding where input is a word and the output is a vector representation of the word. Okay, so this is a this is trained on a huge corpus and is used for initialization followed by fine-tuning using fast text embedding. So this entailment corpus is a big collection of data having 12 or 8, 3, 4, 5, 8, 5 abstracts of scientific articles related to the biomedical domain. And MIMIC 3 data consists of 2078705 number of clinical notes with 320 tokens. So from these web pages, you can easily get this entailment model. So this is our proposed approach. So now the input is slightly different. So input is not only the set of documents, but also the given figure, because we have to generate the summary of the given figure. So now basically the figure will act as a query, and we have to basically generate the summary of the given figure. So input is the figure with its caption and the sentences in the article. Then we are pre-processing the sentences. We are initializing the population. We are calculating the objective functions. So we are checking whether G is less than Gmax or not. If G is less than Gmax, then we are generating new solutions to form a new population. We are computing the objective functional values of the new population. We are merging the new population with the old population. We are applying the selection operation. So selection operation is having two steps, non-dominated sorting and the crowding distance. So by applying this selection operation, we are selecting the best P number of solutions. So this is basically a loop. So you can see that we are initializing the population. We are computing the objective functions of the set of solutions on the population. Then we are checking whether the generation has reached the maximum value or not. Otherwise, you are generating new solutions from the old population. We are computing the objective function values of the old solution or the new solutions. We are merging new solutions with the old solutions. We are applying the non-dominated sorting and the crowding distance. We are selecting the best P solutions. And then we are selecting the best solution and report the corresponding summary. So we have used two data sets, FigSum GS1 and FigSum GS2. FigSum GS1 has 91 figures and FigSum GS2 has 84 figures. And actual and goal summary are available by the annotators. So data sets are available in this particular web page. So these are the parameters. Population size is 40, maximum number of generations is 25, and these are the other parameters. And these are the results we did at ablation study. So we varied the objective functions values over a range. So you can see these are the different combinations of the objective functions. And then we are computing the precision recall and the F1 scores for two data sets. So this is our FigSum. So we have compared it with the existing systems, and you can see that results are quite promising. So this is the one figure, and this is the generated summary. This is the actual summary, and this is the predicted summary. So figure's caption was very brief, but now we are generating a detailed description of the particular figure. So these are the paratoptimal fronts that we have achieved. So some of the key points. So we also performed the error analysis of the proposed approach. So where are the main errors? So sometimes caption of one figure is referring to the other figures. The captions of some figures refer to captions of other figures of the same article. The captions of some figures have only 3 and 2 words respectively, which are quite insufficient to explain a figure. So now I will discuss another approach, another important paradigm of summarization, which is called the micro-block summarization. So micro-block summarization is basically called the tweet summarization. So it is basically the social media summarization. So you know, tweets are not like our formal text. So tweets are informal in nature. So tweets contain many noisy information. So before applying summarization techniques on tweets, we need to clean the tweets. So during any disaster event, common people stay connected with each other through microblogging sites. Several useful information can be extracted from such tweets, further help in managing the situation by the government. So you can see that these are the different tweets, and basically we need to generate a summary of these tweets. Tweets are noisy in nature, and we have to basically remove this noisy information from the tweet. So extracted tweets from a set of tweets are shown. These tweets include the blood bank numbers, number of persons killed, etc. So basically this is the task. So it is again a two-stage process. The first task is to identify the situational tweets from the, is to separate the situational tweets from the non-situational tweets. So situational tweets are the important tweets which contain some relevant information. So we have the set of tweets, and now we would like to classify the tweets into two categories, situational and non-situational. So situational means that are those tweets which contain some relevant information, and non-situational are the non-situational tweets do not contain relevant information. So we have to first categorize the tweets into these two categories, situational and non-situational, and then we have to apply the summarization technique on the situational tweets. So you have to summarize the situational tweets, and you have to provide this summary to the rescue team, and the rescue team can easily plan for the rescue operations. So this is our problem statement. So again, it is a binary optimization problem. So suppose a summary is basically we are having n number of tweets, and now we have to select a subset of tweets to generate the summary. So this subset, subset. So basically, we are given a set of n tweets belonging to an event. Our main task is to find a subset of tweets such that we can maximize the objective function. So SMIN and SMAX are the minimum and the maximum number of tweets in the summary, and OB1, OB2, OB3 are the objective functions. Note that there can also be two objective functions instead of three. So the key points of the proposed approach, it is a binary optimization problem. So the tweet will be selected or not selected, and the multi-objective binary differential evolution will be utilized as the optimization strategy. So a solution is represented in the binary form. Self-organizing map is utilized as a reproduction operator, means to construct matching pool consisting of solutions, helps in matching and new solution generation. Then word mover distance is used to compute the semantic similarity between two tweets. It is able to provide a variety of summaries equally important to each other. User will have more alternatives in selecting a single summary from the final pool. Depending on the user or the domain requirement, a single summary can be selected. So these are the objective functions that we have used. Anti-redundancy. So here it checks the similarity between the distance between two tweets which are selected. So the distance should be maximized. So basically, we should not keep the similars. Basically, you know that Ti and Tj are the ith and the jth tweets respectively belonging to T. T is the total number of tweets in the summary, and distance is the word mover distance. So basically, we have to maximize the anti-redundancy. Then we have to also maximize the TF-IDF score of the tweets. So basically, you want to keep those tweets in the summary where the syntactic information is more. And third is the maximum length of the tweet, which is also maximized. So these three objective functions are simultaneously optimized by using the search capability of multi-objective optimization. So this is our flow chart. So input is a set of tweets. There is a pre-processing technique because I told you the tweets are mostly noisy and also contain many abbreviations. So before processing the tweets, we have to remove the noise, and we also have to remove the abbreviations. And then the population is consisting of multiple solutions. Each solution is a binary solution. So a solution represents whether a tweet will be present or not present. So a solution is having 0 and 1 values. So 0 means that the tweet will not be selected for generating a summary. 1 means the tweet will be selected. So we are initializing the generation equal to 0. We are checking whether generation is less than Gmax or not. Then there is a SOM training. So SOM is trained to identify the matching pool. So matching pool is nothing but the neighborhood of a particular solution. So then using the matching pool, we are applying the genetic operators to form the new population P dash. And then we are computing the objective function values of P dash. We are merging P and P dash together. And then we are selecting the best P solutions from the next generation. So we update the SOM training data and we increment G by 1. So this is the loop, and this loop is executed a number of times, and finally we get a set of paratoptimal solutions, and from this paratoptimal solution we can select the base solution and we can generate the summary. So basically you know that flowchart of the proposed architecture where G is the current generation number initialized to 0, Gmax is the user defined maximum number of generations, mod P is the size of the population. So these are the data sets that are used for evaluation purpose. Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in USA, floods in Uttaranchal state of India, Typhoon Angpui in Philippines, bomb blast in Hyderabad, India. So you can see that there are 2080 number of tweets in Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting USA, 2069 number of tweets in floods in Uttaranchal state of India, 1461 number of tweets in Typhoon Hangpui in Philippines, and 1413 number of tweets in bomb blast in Hyderabad. And these are the word clouds. You can see word clouds of the different data sets. So again, for the evaluation measure, we have used the Ruse score. So Ruse score basically calculates the similarity between the predicted summary and the obtained summary. So n represents the length of the n-gram. Count match n-gram is the maximum number of overlapping n-grams between reference and the goal summary and the system summary. Count n-gram is the total number of n-gram in the reference summary. In our experiment, n takes the values 1 and 2 for Ruse 1 and Ruse 2 respectively. Now there are two methods of selecting the base solution. We can either select by using the supervised approach. In the supervised approach, for each solution, we can compute the Ruse score values, and then we can select the solution with the highest Ruse score. So basically, we can generate the summary for each solution in the paratoptimal front, and then we can compute the Ruse score of each of the solutions. Solution with the highest Ruse score can be selected as the base solution. And in the unsupervised method, here an adaptive weighting schema is utilized in which objective functional values are summed up after multiplying with their respective weights. So these are the ablation studies. So we have varied the objective function combinations in a we have different combinations of the objective functions. We performed the ablation study, and these are the results. So you can see that without SOM based approach performs better than the with SOM. And these are the other results. So basically in the unsupervised method, and these are the comparative results with the other existing techniques. So you can see that our proposed approach outperforms all the existing techniques. So there are some specific error analysis. We have also performed the error analysis. So two tweets having high TF-IDF score values used as one of the objective functions differ by only one word, but only one is covered in the goal summary. So while in predicted summary, both are covered. So basically, as we are maximizing the TF-IDF scores, so sometimes maybe if two sentences are very much similar, they are also getting selected because we are maximizing a TF-IDF score. So that is one problem. These two tweets have a dissimilarity value of 0.14, means they are not similar in semantic space. And redundancy objective does not help in this situation. To remove this drawback in future, we would like to use some other sophisticated word embedding like BART. To explore some tweet-specific embedding in association with emotional word embedding to better capture the semantic dissimilarities between tweets. So next, I would like to discuss about the multimodal summarization techniques. So basically, that the focus of this work is to develop an unsupervised approach to summarize a given set of multimodal tweets. So now we are not only considering the tweet text, but also the images, because users often post several images along with the text when they are tweeting. So in the multimedia platforms, in the social media platforms, images are also very popular. So when we are generating summary, we should not only consider the text information, but also the image information. So basically what we are doing, we are using this image information to gather more context while we are calculating the anti-redundancy measure. So tweet text is concatenated with the image features, and from the image features, we are basically gathering more context, and that context is added to measure the anti-redundancy. So tweet scoring functions optimize using multi-objective binary differential evolution. So these are the objective functions: anti-redundancy, maximum TM-IDF score of the tweets, maximum length of the tweets, BM25 score, retweet score. These are the different objective functions that we are optimized simultaneously, and finally we are getting the optimal subset of tweets. So this is the thing, the tweets are shorter in length, 140 characters. In this scenario, images can play important role to convey useful information. So these are the tweet text and these are the images. So from the images, we are basically generating their captions, dense captions. So dense captions are basically descriptions of the images. And then those dense captions are added with the tweet text. And that way we are generating the context, increasing the context of the tweet. So therefore, multimodalities that the tweet text and images can be considered to generate microblog summary. These images will work as supplementary information of the tweet text. So basically, this is the tweet text. We have the images. We are generating dense captions of the images, and then dense caption is added with the tweet text. And basically, that way we are enhancing the tweet text. And now we are applying the multi-object optimization concept to optimize by considering the multiple modalities. So key points: image features are extracted using image dense captioning models trained using 94,000 images and 4100001 region grounded captions. So this is the dense captioning. So dense captioning first identifies the different bounding regions, bounding boxes, the important regions of the image, and then for each region one caption is generated. So it basically divides the image into several bounding boxes, and then for each bounding box a caption is generated. It is called the dense captioning. So dense captioning model is able to detect different regions in the images and then generate caption. All captions of an image are merged together, forming a series of subcaptions. So instead of calculating similarity between tweet text and image captions and then use as an objective function, we are merging tweet text and corresponding image caption and then calculating the anti-redundancy function. So we are merging the tweet text and the corresponding image caption, and then we are computing the anti-redundancy. So this is the flowchart of the proposed approach: population initialization and the computation of the objective functions. We are forming the new population by generating new solutions using differential evolution framework. We are computing the objective function values of the new solutions. We are merging the P and P dash. So basically P is the old set of solutions. We are computing the objective function values of the solutions. Now we are applying genetic operators to create the new population. Now we are comparing the objective function values of the old population P dash. We are merging P and P dash together. We are applying selection operation on this merged population. So we apply like non-dominated solution. Then we are selecting the base P solutions using crowding distance operator and update the population P. So we obtain a set of paratractable solutions and then we select the base solution. So at the end of the Gmax, we are selecting the base solution. So these are the three datasets that we have used: Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and the Sri Lankan flood. So Hurricane Harvey is having 4,443 number of tweets. There are 2,224 number of informative tweets, and the goal tweets are 22. Hurricane Irma is having 4,525 number of tweets. Number of informative tweets is 2,001, and in the goal tweets we have 37 number of tweets. Sri Lankan flood is having 1,025 number of tweets. Number of informative tweets is 224, and the goal tweets are 37. So these are the results. So you can see we have done ablation studies of the objective functions, and these are the rule score values. So anti-redundancy function when tweet text and image dense captions are combined together. Anti-redundancy function when only tweet text is considered. L is the length of the tweets. T is the average TF-IDF score of the tweet. RT is the logarithmic tweet retweet score. BN25 is the average BN25 score of the tweets. So we have these ablation studies. So this is on the Hurricane Irma. This is on the Sri Lankan flood. And we are also comparing with the existing approaches, and we can see that when we are using these two objective functions, then our proposed approach attains the best result. So basically, A1 is the anti-redundancy when tweet text is concatenated with the image data, and A is the anti-redundancy using the tweet text. So analysis is that we are considering only informative tweet text and corresponding informative tweet image as the input data set. Some of the tweet text are noisy and difficult to understand, but corresponding images convey important information. So this is another analysis. Image captioning model not able to generate captions of such images. We can use the OCR technique, but for which image we have to use the OCR to or captioning model is difficult to determine. So challenges: quality of images are not so good, as users may take pictures from the low resolution cameras. Caption not generated for this image. So here also, like for some images, we are not able to generate the captions. That is the problem, because if for these cases we have to use the OCR techniques. So maybe the image captioning models, the pre-trained image captioning models may not work for these situations. So now I will just briefly discuss, so I don't have much time, but I will just briefly discuss another concept which is called the multimodal summarization. So what is called the multimodal summarization? So basically, you know that in our experience of the world is multimodal, because whenever we have to take a decision of a particular object, we are gathering information from multiple sensors. Like we see the object, we hear the sound, we feel the texture, we smell odors, and then only we are taking a decision about an object. So basically, you know that our experience of the world is multimodal. We are using multiple sensors to collect data from multiple sensors, and then we are combining those data to generate to take a decision about a particular object. The approach of training models on only single source of information, such as either text, audio, or video, is commonplace. But there is also a way to build models that incorporate multiple data types, text and images at the same time, called the multimodal information processing. So multimodal summarization means that we have to collect information from multiple modalities like the text, images, etc. And basically the importance is that in recent years, large majority of platforms like newspaper, social media, blog posts have introduced the provision of including information in multimodal format. So like in newspapers also, whenever reporters are describing the news, they are putting images as well as text. In social media platforms also, users post text and images together. So multimodal information is is everywhere. So basically it is better to handle multimodal information for generating the summary. So, and there is another important concept that some concepts can be easily described using images, but some concepts are better described using text. So concepts like freedom, affection are difficult to describe using images, whereas describing what a piano looks like is also tough for someone who has not seen one before. So this is these are some publications from our lab related to this multimodal summarization. So you can see that in recent years, my research group is working towards developing some multimodal summarization systems. So let me introduce this particular task. So here there is a set of documents, there is a set of images, and there is a set of videos, and we have to somehow generate a summary. Final summary will have a text summary, image summary, and the video summary. So in the input we have the text documents, set of documents, set of images, and set of videos, and in the output we have to generate the text summary, image summary, and the video summary. So we have there is a data set that we have used. So data set is having existing data contains 25 topics. Each topic is comprising of 20 text documents per topic, 3 to 9 images per topic, 3 to 8 videos per topic, and 3 text references per topic. Then 3 annotators are employed to score each image and video on a scale of 1 to 5, on the basis of similarity to generate a multimodal summary. Average annotation scores are calculated for each image and video, and multiple images and videos are selected based on the average annotation score. So here we have first proposed a joint integer linear programming framework. So here basically, this is our proposed work. So in the input we have a set of documents. From the set of documents we are generating the sentences. These sentences give us a text set. Then images give us the image set. And from the videos we are generating the speech transcripts. Speech transcript is having multiple sentences. Those are added to the text set. And also we are generating multiple keyframes. So these multiple keyframes are the multiple images which are added to the image set. So finally we are having the text set and the image set together. And now we are applying the integer linear programming framework. And by using this integer linear programming framework, we are selecting some important sentences for the text summary. We are selecting top k images for the image summary. And then we are basically applying some post-processing technique. And we are adding some new images in the image summary. And we are also selecting one important video for the video summary. So in the final summary, we have the set of sentences, we have the a set of images, and we have a single video. So this is the overall flowchart of our proposed approach. Now it is a linear integer programming based approach. So there are some decision variables. The variables whose values are to be set to find the corresponding solutions. There are a set of objective functions. The function whose value is either to be maximized or minimized to find the optimal solutions. And there are some constants. So you have to basically satisfy some constants. So Gurobi optimizer used to perform the ILP optimization. So this is the thing that we have the n into n binary square matrix, p into p binary square matrix. So n into n binary square matrix is for the text, this is for the image, and this is for the cross model. So MII means the sentence SI image I selected as an exemplar. MIJ means whether XI votes for XJ as the exemplar. And this means if there is a threshold level of correlation between SI and IJ. So as an objective function, we are optimizing this. Saliency of the text cluster, saliency of the image cluster, and the cross correlation multimodal correspondence. So saliency is the saliency score of a given matrix. It is the saliency of the text cluster, saliency of the image cluster, and the cross modal correspondence. So saliency is nothing but the similarity of the items with respect to the cluster center. So this is the saliency of the text cluster, and then these are the set of documents which are in a particular cluster. Then cross correlation is basically the similarity between the sentence and the image. Similarity between the cosine similarity between the sentence and the image. So there are many constants. All matrices are binary. There must be exactly k txt number of text clusters and k image number of image clusters. Then an entity can either be an exemplar or be a part of a single cluster. And then for an entity, either it is, if suppose some points are assigned to a particular entity, then the entity must be a cluster center. So basically by using the integer linear programming, we will be able to select a important set of sentences and also important set of images. Now in the post-processing stage, we are adding some more images in the image set. So basically selecting the non-keyframe images. Other than these images, select those images who have cosine similarity between alpha to beta. And then we are also adding a video in the video summary. So each video is assigned a score based on the based on the visual score and the verbal score. So visual score is calculated with respect to the images present in the image summary, and the verbal score is calculated with respect to the sentences in the text summary. And then each video is assigned an average of the visual and the verbal score, and the video which is having the highest score is selected for the final summary. So these are some results. So we have compared with the different baseline techniques and find this is our proposed approach, multimodal summarization. And we are getting the video accuracy of 44%. So I think I should stop now. And these are some publications these are some references and publications from our group related to the summarization systems. And you can also visit my web page for more information. So now if you have any question, I would like to take.
Participants may kindly ask the questions. Ma'am, it seems there are no questions.
Okay.
So I think we can wind up the things. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us and for delivering such good contents to the participants. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you. Okay, sir. Bye.
Bye, ma'am. So participants, our next session will be starting at 12 noon.